Looking to buy a used car but worried about buying something bad or somebody else's problem? Let me show you a couple key points to look at when you go look at your next used vehicle to make sure you get something that's good for you. As I said, I'm going to walk you through a couple key points in the car. We'll go around it. Give me just a minute. I'll open up the hood, open up the trunk, and we'll do things together. I'll take you inside. I'll just again show you a couple things to look at for your next vehicle purchase. And simply by clicking the link above, you'll find our companion guide to this video in both ebook and paperback formats. And we'll even provide a downloadable version, yours free, just for watching this video all the way to the end and hitting subscribe. So thank you again, and we hope this video helps you with that next used car purchase. Right off the bat, I want to trace all vehicle seams. So I come right along the edge and run my finger right along the seam between the two pieces of metal, and I'll do this all the way around the vehicle. And I'm feeling for it to be smooth on both sides. When a vehicle gets painted, they end up masking off the part of the car that wasn't damaged so they can work on the part that's damaged and repaint it. Well, when they repaint that, this is brand new from the factory, nice and smooth. This part would have overspray. So the spray gun came in and little droplets of paint just kind of fell along that edge. Now when I'd run my finger across it, I would feel smooth on one side, rough on the other. That means that part was painted. Okay? I don't mind a vehicle being painted. I don't mind the vehicle having work done to it. If a guy hits a mailbox, no big deal. But I do look for accidents. That's something I want to stay away from. So if I did feel that paint, I'm going to go a step further. I'll show you how to do that next. All right, here we are under the hood. I apologize for it being dirty. This is my car, so it's not a dealer car, but I'm going to show you a couple things to look at under the hood. If I had found any kind of problems when I was looking at those seams, I'd want to investigate a little bit further, and I'm going to come to a couple spots on the vehicle. The hood bolts, where the hood mounts to the vehicle. I can look at the paint right here, and I'll show you a close-up of that. I can look at these hood bolts right here, and I can see that the paint is attached all the way around. If the hood was replaced, somebody would have had to put a wrench on there. When they break that loose, it's going to break the paint off the corners, and that lets me know that the hood was removed for some reason. Why is the hood removed? Because it was in an accident, most likely, right? So I just caused to investigate a little bit further. Same thing, I'd look around all the sides, all the hinges on the vehicle. At the very top, you can't see it from that angle, but I'll take a picture for you. I'll look at this bolt where the fender hooks onto the vehicle again, make sure there's no paint coming off the edges. All right, so under the hood, a couple things to look at. When you look at check your oil, pull your dipstick out, wipe it clean. Obviously, we want to check and make sure we have good oil. But what I really want to see is the oil dipstick itself. If this is clean and shiny, that's good. If it shows any kind of overheating, sometimes the oil dipstick itself will actually blue or change color, just like you heat up a piece of metal. When you get it, sometimes it'll get blackened. When you wipe the black stuff off, you'll see bluing behind. So look at this oil dipstick. This one is black. Some are actually silver, so it's harder to see. But look at the dipstick and see if you see any kind of bluing, especially up here towards the top of the dip tube. And then you can check your oil level as normal. Most engines today use a coolant system. We don't have to check from the radiator anymore. We'll actually come up to the overflow reservoir and see if the overflow reservoir is hot. So in this case, we can come right up here and check our overflow reservoir. What I'm looking for not is that it's filled, but I'm looking at the condition of the container. I'm looking to make sure it's clear on the outside and clear on the inside. And there's no exhaust vapors, exhaust gases getting pulled into that reservoir. That's not what it's for. So I can open this up, and sometimes I'll even smell it. A little bit of pressure there. So I can open it up and sometimes even smell it too, and that's actually good. I just have coolant and water in there, and that's all I want. If I ever see any discoloration inside the container, that's bad. Last thing I wanted to see was the transmission fluid. On cars that have an automatic transmission dipstick, unlike this 2015 Chevy Cruze, you can pull the transmission dipstick out as well, and same thing, check the condition of the stick itself and check for any kind of burnt smell. That's all we have under the hood. Let's keep going elsewhere. Okay, tires and brakes, very, very important, and they definitely add up to expenses. You have to replace them right away. So a couple things to look at. We want to make sure we check the tread depth as well as the treads all along the tread surface to make sure they're even. You don't want to see cupping on one side or wearing to the inside or to the outside. That could indicate a problem. Okay, so we want to make sure we see even wearing along that tread. And there's a thing we call the penny test. Your tires for state inspection, at least in my state, have to be 2 seconds of tread left. Some tires will have a tread wear indicator. It's a little bar that sticks out a little bit higher in the tread. As long as that's not exposed, you're still good. Okay, you're still inspectable. I'd like to see at least half of the life of the tire left. Tires vary in their depth, but generally between around 30 seconds would be a brand new passenger type tire. So I'm going to say at least 30 seconds or better, half the life of that tire or better. Next thing is the brakes. I can't do a lot out here at the lot or looking at a vehicle real quick. I can't take the wheel off or anything like that, but I can look at the brakes real fast. What I'm going to do is peer inside. But what I like to do is what I call the pen test. So I just take a simple pen, I pull the point out. What I'm going to do is run it right along the rotor, okay, the brake rotor right there, and it feels nice and smooth. Here's that pen test up close. I'm going to take my pen, stick it right in there, the ball point out, trace it right along that brake rotor, and it was nice and smooth. Your pen acts like an amplifier, just like a record player. So when I trace it along that surface, if there's any kind of unevenness, it would actually vibrate in my fingers. I would feel it really rough, just like I was going across this. I really feel this in my hand, and that's what I'm trying not to feel, is what this feels like here. I'm running along this little bead. That would be bad. It should be nice and smooth. I run my pen across that rotor surface. So that's what the pen test looks like. If I was to roll across this and it felt like I was rolling across a record, right, that would mean something's grooving those disc brakes. That means my pads are going to wear out quickly. The disc needs to be replaced. So I'm going to make sure that's nice and smooth, and I'll check that on all 4 rotors and make sure it's smooth. Okay. The second thing I do is brake. I can't do a lot except try to gauge what I see of the brake wear pad or the brake pad, how the thickness of the pad. So I'll do the best I can to look in there and try to make sure I see a good thickness of pad. I can also ask the seller or the dealer if they have records of when the brakes and tires were done last. I'll show what a record like that might look like as well. All right, what about flood damage? How would I ever know if a vehicle was ever involved in a flood? Well, what I can do is walk over here and just open the door. And I'll find my seatbelt and just pull that seatbelt all the way out until I get to the end. That's the part that's in the reel. Doesn't usually get exposed that much. I can feel that to make sure that's not damp or wet in any way, shape, or form. Now that goes back into the reel. The reel is one of the lowest parts in the car. Sits down there on the rocker panel, and if the vehicle ever gets flooded, that's a hard place to get dry. So you can pull that seatbelt all the way out, feel the bottom of the belt, the part that's in the reel. If that's got any kind of dampness, that could indicate that the vehicle is involved in a flood at one time. A second thing to do for the flood, it's not going to work with this vehicle. If I pop my trunk, again, it won't work with this vehicle, but if they come back in the trunk, vehicles that have a spare tire, this one does not, you could lift up the spare tire well or lift up the carpet and the covering, look in the well, and that deep point in the well, if there's any kind of water, that's another spot that's not going to dry out very, very quickly. And if you had a problem, that's where you might see it. You might see some water in there, let you know there's some issues with the vehicle. Okay, in the back, this is a tailpipe, not a drain pipe. Okay, make sure your vehicle is not hot when you do this. But I can stick my finger in there, wipe it right through, and it should come out gray and dirty, just like that. But the key is that it's dry and it's not wet. It's just nice and dirty and gray. That's exhaust. That's okay. Car's supposed to do that. If anything's coming out wet or moist, that's bad. That could indicate some kind of a leak in the vehicle, a head gasket problem or something along that nature, where water is getting into your exhaust system. So that's not good. So I want to see it dry, charcoal color to gray. That's it for this session, and I hope this helped you out. If you feel like it, you can comment down below, and if you like our content, want to see some more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell. We'd like to hear more from you. Thanks for watching, and again, we're always forever learning.